And then even after I left, Dave Pensado, being able to utilize his name to get into bigger rooms and connect other dots is what kind of continued to lead me to work with Brody, which led me to work with WizKid. And like, it's people give you a little bit more of a chance when you're associated to someone who's already doing big things, which gave me the opportunity to like show my worth.
Dope dialogue.
See, perfect segue right here, man. So after moving to LA, you started working at Record Plant, and then you got to study a legend, Dave Pensado. So what was that like? And also, what did life look like for you at that time? Because you got your footing and you're at Record Plant. So
Yeah.
Try to explain what it was like soaking up the gems from him, but also what was regular life like for you.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I didn't even have my footing. Like, I was out here trying to figure it out, you know what I mean? And Record Plant was like a minimum wage situation. And like back then, minimum wage isn't what it is today, you know what I mean? So it was tough, but again, another chance for me to just be around a lot of people, which pretty much everybody I work with today somehow stemmed from Record Plant, you know what I mean? So it was a good opportunity for me to be there. But yeah, I was there for probably like a year and a half or something like that. And Rose Mancherney was the person who was running the studio at the time. And there was like an event I got emailed, and it was like, oh, like raffle for like your chance to go to this like private, like LA, music event or whatever. It's not open to the public. And so I was like, okay, cool. Where is it? And it's at Larrabee Studios. Rose, she like, I guess was like the mentor for Amy, who used to be the manager at Larrabee Studios. So I said, hey, Rose, any chance you could get me on this list? She said, yeah, cool, got you, no problem. Got me on the list. I showed up. Everybody in there is like Grammy award winning, like platinum, this, that. I'm a runner at a studio, you know what I mean? Like I don't got shit under my belt. And so I'm just like over there just soaking it all up. At the end of it, I saw Dave kind of kicking to the side, and everybody was kind of talking to him. I just waited. Once everybody was done, I walked up to him and I was just like, hey man, I just want to let you know that the stuff you put online taught me a lot, which allowed me to go do like these like trapper rapper sessions, which paid me a little bit of money, which kept me afloat, you know what I mean, to keep moving forward. So I just wanted to say thank you. And that kind of kickstarted our conversation. He got my number, eventually invited me to the studio. I came by a couple times, and then eventually he asked me, he said, hey man, I'm in need of an assistant. I would love for you to come, work with me. And then I did, and I was with him for probably like a year and a half. And I left Record Plant to go do that. So I actually never made it out of the runner position at Record Plant either.
That's pretty smooth.
I assisted a couple sessions, but I never made it out of the position, before I left, which I'm kind of proud of. I don't know why.
That's super dope, man. That's super dope. It's like you're tapped in spiritually. Like, have you always been, because like the way you painted that, it's kind of like everything was in line for you by just following yourself, following your gut, that voice in your head. So like, did you always have that as a kid, or is that something you developed as you got older?
I mean, I feel like that's something that just always develops, but I definitely had the seed planted in me, of like follow your heart and like trust your gut.
For sure.
From like my parents at a young age, my mom especially.
For sure.
She was very like free spirited, and she like always pushed me to like do what I wanted to do and like, go live your dreams,
For sure.
and like try, So,
sure.
yeah, I mean, now looking back, I could easily paint the path, and say, yeah, this is exactly the series of events. We could call it fate, right? But back then, boy, I was stressing. I didn't know that shit was coming. You know what I mean? I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen.
Sure.
I didn't know who knew who or what piece of the puzzle I could put together,
Sure.
But I just kept going, and then these pieces of the puzzle started showing up, and I was like, oh, look, there's a connection here. I could do this, and I could do that, And then even after I left, Dave Pensado, being able to utilize his name to get into bigger rooms and connect other dots is what kind of continued to lead me to work with Brody, which led me to work with WizKid. And like, it's people give you a little bit more of a chance when you're associated to someone who's already doing big things, which gave me the opportunity to like show my worth,
For sure. So then, you mentioned Brody Brown too. So like, are these, like, from studying these people, are you learning more so technical things, or are you like, just playing with that yourself, learning it yourself, and you're more so learning how the industry and the world works through them? Or is it both?
It's funny, everybody I've worked with has never been super technical, and I've never really gotten super technical with my stuff either, Like I told you before, man, I'd rather just close my eyes and just feel it than to be worrying about what EQ is going to do what. And, you know, it's good to know, like, oh, the tonal characteristics of this. But, like, you can not know shit, try everything, and you'll eventually get to the point where you'll be like, I remember I used this one time, and I was fighting with it because it was a little too bright. But sometimes something be a little dark, and you'll be like, oh, shit, you remember that one time that thing was a little too bright? Maybe it'll work for this. And you'll start to gain those things. You don't have to have someone tell you this prestigious old school vintage plugin that models this or whatever. Like, usually the people that argue about that shit, in my opinion, spend more time arguing about what plugins they're using or what compressors they're using or whatever the case is than actually making songs.
For sure.
And I've never wanted to be that guy. You know what I mean? I'd rather be the guy making 100 songs that the EQ could have been a little bit better, but damn, it felt so good, you know, than the guy who was like, oh, wow, this is pristine, but it's got no feeling in it, you know, and like the song kind of sucks.
For sure.
Know? So that's why I just kind of try to keep myself away from being super technical, you know. But it's funny because some of my friends might tell you that I'm technical, and I don't think so at all. It's hilarious.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you got to be a little bit, because, like, so what do you use to, like, learn the technical stuff? Like,
I mean, define the technical stuff, you know?
Like, let's say, like, all right, to learning, like, how to actually use EQ or compressors or, you know, these different tools.
Fuck with it.
YouTube and just fucking with it, or do you just...
Bro, honestly, just keep fucking with it until it feels right, until it sounds right. Be honest with yourself, you know what I mean? Like, use the metric A/B thing to flip back and forth between your songs and other people's songs. You know what I mean? If you, like, are your biggest critic and you are just honest with yourself, you'd be like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, this vocal, you know, might sound cool to me right now, but when I go compare it, like, damn, their vocal sounds so good. I'm gonna go back and work on my shit. I'm not gonna tell you like, oh, but they recorded in a bedroom and they didn't use this, you know, beautiful mic and this beautiful, who cares, man? You know what I mean? Like, this is what you got, make the best of it. Because that's what I had to do my whole life, man. I just had to make the best of what I had, and it led me to then go work with people who do have the best mics and do have the best studios and do have the best equipment, you know what I mean? And then you don't have to worry about none of that because you made the best of what you have so far. Now the best is here. You don't really got to do shit with it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, a great vocal doesn't have to be like uber compressed and like uber EQ'd, you know? It's a great vocal. It's a great performance as it lived, you know? All you got to do is kind of touch it up a little bit, clean it up, you know? Make space for it in the mix, like move some instruments out the way, you know? Not necessarily like go crazy and use 20 plugins from 1902 and that's going to make it better, you know?
For sure.
Doesn't make sense.
For sure, got you.